Hello, lovely witches. This is Dawn from Aurora Dawn, and thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Let's see, it is August 11th, 2019. I have my notes to keep me on track. So today we're going to talk about menopause. Thank you for the suggestion, April Joe. She suggested I make this video. This is a huge, very huge subject, and I will probably make multiple videos on this. Some things that I've learned, some things that I've gone through, some things that I can tell you to make sure you avoid. So let's get into this, because this is a touchy subject, because you know there's a lot of different information out there. And it's just confusing. Well, it's hormones. So hormones are very confusing. I remember biology class, gosh, many years ago. We were studying hormones, and they're so interconnected. One is communicating to an organ or a receptor and a part of the body, and then another one responds to say, I got the message. And if the message, I got the message, doesn't get received, then they send more, and then you get an imbalance, and it's so complicated. It really is. So when I started actually hot flashes, I was 50. This a few years ago. I'm going to be 55 soon, October. So when I started experiencing hot flashes, I was trying everything I could that I know to correct it, make it better, and I was falling way short. So I broke down and I went to the naturopath, and I highly recommend you find a naturopath in your area. Sometimes they take insurance, sometimes they do not, because insurance can be a serious pain in the backside. So some of them don't take insurance because of that. But seriously, if you have a hormonal issue, you need to go see a naturopath. Only because doctors are not trained to know what natural remedy or solution to correct a problem in the body. All they know are drugs. That's it. Their education is on drugs. You have this symptom, you have this disease, you prescribe this drug. Then you get the side effects. So for the side effects, you prescribe this drug. So on and so forth. And I avoid doctors like the plague, because I just don't think they're educated correctly. And I prefer seeing a naturopath who's going to give me some better guidance, dietary guidance, supplement guidance, and stuff like that. And especially with hormones, I have no clue. It's just so messed up. It's crazy. Okay, so when I went to this naturopath here in Iowa City, Iowa, his name is Dr. Bradley, Dr. Jason Bradley. He had several tests done for me. I guess as a doctor, you order those tests, and he can order the tests, but I had to go down to the lab to get those tests done. They don't draw blood there at the naturopath. But so I went down to the lab, as well as these kits. He gave me several kits, and inside these kits had a spring-loaded blade to prick my skin to get blood to draw. And then I pressed it on this cardstock in certain areas to get my blood on there. And then it sent them back to some laboratory. And then the results were sent to my naturopath, because for some reason they're not supposed to send it back to you. They send it to the doctor. I know why. Because the doctor needs to interpret it. So some other things. Oh, okay. So here's a list of some symptoms that you can experience during menopause: high blood pressure, sensitivity to sugar, you become pre-diabetic or even diabetic, depends on how long you let it go. Cortisol goes crazy, goes up, so you end up experiencing adrenal fatigue if you let it go too long. And that causes sleep disorders, insomnia. So a lot of menopause, postmenopause women talk about not being able to sleep, and usually it's the cortisol. And weight gain, thyroid problems, and if you go too long with your cortisol high, you'll end up with leaky gut, and leaky gut leads to autoimmune diseases. So if you have an autoimmune disease, you have leaky gut. You cannot get, from my understanding, you cannot develop an autoimmune disease without leaky gut. So what does that mean? That means you need to heal the gut. And that's where I sit. I need to heal the gut. And I'm having a very difficult time because there's something else behind that. I talk a lot about symptoms. So if you have a thyroid problem, hypothyroid, hyperthyroid, it's a symptom. Your thyroid is a symptom. So if you go to a doctor and the doctor does a test, and if he reads it correctly, then he's going to tell you you need to take this medication for your thyroid. But really what you're doing is addressing a symptom. There's something else going on, and I guarantee you he's not looking for it unless you have other symptoms. So a naturopath understands that the thyroid is a symptom of other things going on in the body. And sure enough, my cortisol was so high and was stressing out my thyroid. But that is also a symptom. So you can address the adrenal glands, sure, support them. That's good. That's a very good thing. And I highly recommend doing that, as well as supporting the thyroid, supplements to support the thyroid. But they understand that those two things are symptoms of something else. And getting to the bottom of it, I have found in my research, my endless research on this subject, trying to understand this, is that estrogen, when it's low, get this, when your estrogen is low, your body has trouble absorbing minerals. So you get osteoporosis. And how many people have you heard commercials about osteoporosis in elderly women, right? Well, what happened? I never understood that. Why do I have to exercise lifting weights now that I'm postmenopause that I didn't have to do that before? What happened? Why is lifting weights and putting pressure on my bones now necessary to make them more dense when I didn't have to do that before? So what happened is the estrogen dropped. And at the same time, progesterone, it's a hard one, that drops also, and progesterone regulates estrogen. So if estrogen is low, progesterone kicks in to make more estrogen to bring the level back up. Well, if it's low, then it can't bring the level back up. So low estrogen also causes brain fog, memory loss. Also low estrogen affects the thyroid, which also causes brain fog and memory loss. Lovely. And both have an effect on metabolism, so you start gaining weight around the middle. Also, widespread along the backside can happen. It depends on your body. That's another thing, is you go to a doctor and too many times they want to put you in a one size fits all, and it doesn't work. So you have to understand that your body is going to be different. Your body is responding differently. So there are women who, because their cortisol is too high, they lose the muscle in their legs, and they get skinny legs and a skinny butt, but they get this big belly. And then there are others who get the big legs and a little bit around the belly, and then if you go long enough, you start getting more around the belly. So, and it's all different. So different shapes, different issues that are going on with your hormones. And you can dig into, well, I need to raise my estrogen and progesterone, and then there's also DHEA. I don't know what that means. It's a big, long medical term for a hormone, and yeah, DHEA is more pronounceable. Here's another thing. DHEA drops, and then you have bladder control issues, and it's depends on how, I guess it depends on how low it is, whether you become full-blown incontinent or not. But it forces you to have to go to the bathroom a lot, like every half hour to an hour. And you're trying to get to the bathroom as quickly as possible because it is dribbling out and you cannot stop it. That's why they have poise, those pads. And you think, yay, menopause, I don't have to worry about tampons or pads or any of that. Yeah, well, depends on your DHEA, evidently. So my bottom line, of course, diet comes into that, and everybody's always, everybody right now is, they have a diet that they say is right and good for everybody. Again, one size does not fit all. We are all completely different individuals. We have different genetic makeup. We have different needs in our body than what, they want to shove everybody in one category, and you can't do that. So there are people who say we all have to be vegans. My mom sent me a book, How to Not Die. Sounds great, right? It's all about eating just vegetables, no meat, because there are studies out there that say that if you eat meat, you're going to shorten your lifespan. Okay, so my mom told me this, that if you eat meat, you'll shorten your lifespan because of these studies that they said this. And I asked her, well, what kind of meat are they eating? Is it lunch meat, cured with chemicals and stuff? Or is this grass-fed beef, free range, because there's a big difference. Or is this conventional beef that is from cows that have spent a year eating grain, soy mainly, because soy interferes with their thyroid and they get plumper and heavier, and so they put them on that grain for 6 months to a year so they get heavier and they can make more money off of it. And they're devoid of any omegas, pretty much, because they don't get to eat grass. And that's where the omegas and antioxidants and stuff that goes into their body, into their muscle, and then you consume it, it's missing. Conventional fed beef is raised beef. So anyway, she didn't know. And then I heard on BBC that they interviewed this scientist who works at a university in California. I can't remember which one. But he was talking about the same studies about eating meat shortens your lifespan. And he was saying that there are some discrepancies in how they did those studies. And, I see this all the time. They come out with some ridiculous study that says, butter is bad for you. And they tested like 5 people. What? And it's all based on anecdotal kind of information, like, oh, I felt bad when I ate too much butter. It's you got to dig deep into these studies. You can't trust them. You have to look to see how many people did they have in the study? Was it just a couple hundred, or was it several thousand? How controlled was it? Did they use a scientific method? A lot of these quote unquote studies that come out, they're crap. They're not even using the scientific method. Okay, so I'm off that rant. Let's talk about exercise. If you are menopause or postmenopause and you're struggling with fatigue and you're feeling the mental fog and all sorts of just not right. You just don't feel right, and maybe even hot flashes. We'll throw that in there too. If you're feeling all of that, do not exercise. Do not the typical exercise where you do the aerobics, like really, out of breath, and then you lift weights really heavily for like, and you're in there in the gym or wherever for like an hour or so. Don't do that, because it creates too much stress and the cortisol will go up. Now, walking is good, gardening is good, yoga is good, as long as if you may want to avoid Ashtanga yoga because it's very intense. And that's the only reason. But most yoga here in America is pretty tame and very relaxing. And that's what you want. You want to move your body and flex your muscles a little bit. And you want to make sure you're relaxed, because if you have too much stress, your cortisol will go up. And you want to keep that calm. With the cortisol high, you'll find you're irritable and you'll have trouble sleeping. And even if you get a good night's sleep, you're still irritable, because you could blame that on, well, I didn't sleep well. You're still, the cortisol puts you on edge. And anxiety attacks, I have never had an anxiety attack ever. I don't think, anyway. And I've been feeling this intense anxiety, like I'm gonna mess up. It's not gonna work, and I'm gonna fall on my face, and just really intense. I'm not gonna get everything done. What's happening? The sky is falling, and I'm falling apart. And so it's very important to keep an eye on your stress level. Do things every day that make you feel good. Do things that will lower your stress. So if it's more stressful to take a certain path to work, you're driving to work and there's more traffic that way, but it's shorter, don't go that way. If that traffic gets you, stressed out, don't go that way. It's better to go the other way, relax. Yes, it's a little bit longer, leave a little bit earlier so you can get to work on time, but do things like that are going to be more stress-free, less stress, okay? And I try to make my morning routine as stress-free as possible, and get things done the night before so that my morning is not hectic. I don't want to start my day really hectic. Another thing is, when I get home, is I carve out at least a half an hour just vegging on the sofa, watching TV, just being mindless, just chatting with Skip, and just relaxing before I go to bed. I find that is very, very important. Okay, so exercise really is, from my research, is only about 5% of your metabolism. So if you're gaining weight and you want to lose weight, exercise is not the answer. Caloric restriction is not the answer. What are you eating? That is the answer. Live produce, vegetables, mainly vegetables, that is alive, not cooked and processed to death. You do want a certain portion of your food cooked. That's not a bad thing. You can look into Ayurvedic ways of eating, meal preparations, and they talk about a certain portion of your food should be cooked because it's easier to digest, but you need some of the raw enzymes and phytochemicals that are found in raw vegetables, and you can only consume those. If you cook it, it's gone. So you need to consume it raw. Okay, exercise, Tai Chi, Qigong, these are also very gentle, very calm, floaty, and very stress-free. Like I was saying about diet, there's vegan, vegetarian, raw, paleo, keto, starch diet even, where this guy says we should all be eating only starch. Now this is high quality starch. He talks about the Aztec Indians and the Mayan Indians, they eat a high starch diet, and that's what their warriors ate, and they were very powerful warriors. So he concluded, he's making an assumption that everyone should be eating this way. And really, some people, they do just great on a vegan diet or even a vegetarian diet, but there are others that do not. They get on a vegan diet and they feel ill. They do not feel well. It's because their body is better designed to eat meat. They do better when they eat animal protein. Now, there's all sorts of stuff out there now, and I'm looking at it, I'm going, is this for real? Protein, when you eat animal protein, it will spike your blood sugar. Wow. Same thing with eating fat. So, like a stick of butter, that's going to cause your blood sugar to go up. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. It sounds fishy to me. It sounds like another assumption. So I don't know. And it bothers me because we hear all this stuff, butter's bad for you years ago. Remember that? You need to be on this vegetable crap. Hydrogenated. That was it. Hydrogenated vegetable oil was really good for you, and the butter was bad for you. And then years later, it's like, oops, we made a mistake. Butter's really good for you. Get off that hydrogenated crap. It's really, really bad for you. And they said the same thing about eggs. Eggs are bad for you. Okay, now the yolk is just bad for you. So just eat the whites. Now it's like, eat the whole egg. It's fine. It's good for you. So it's really hard to know who to believe and who to, ignore and say, you don't have enough science behind what you're saying. So I highly suggest getting to know a pendulum very, very well and program your system. Letter to Robin is free and will teach you how to program your system. And so you can use the pendulum, a bobber, whatever your heart's desire, the L rods, and you can see what foods are okay for you to eat and what are not. It'll save you like $200, okay? There is a company called Life Extension. You can get a blood test to see what foods you are sensitive to, because if you have leaky gut, you have food sensitivities and you need to avoid certain foods. Like, I'm not supposed to have eggs, and certain yeasts, like white wine. If I drink too much white wine, my thyroid goes absolutely nuts and my hair starts falling out and I get this intense uncomfortableness in my gut and brain fog, and I can't concentrate, and I think I've done something. I'm sure, and I'll swear on it that I did it, and I go back and I haven't done it. It's just, it's insane. Okay, so let's see, how long have I been on? Okay, I can't tell. Okay, estrogen keeps you sensitive to insulin. When estrogen drops, your sensitivity to insulin drops. So when you eat something that has sugar in it, your body goes, oh my God, sugar, too much sugar, insulin, insulin, insulin. And your body doesn't see the insulin because it's not sensitive to it. It starts pumping out more insulin and more insulin. And that causes you to gain weight around your middle. It also, I think, let's see, do I have it? Well, of course, it opens the door to becoming diabetic. And so I think insulin is more, makes you gain weight, accumulate fat. Okay, so estrogen keeps cortisol in check. So when estrogen drops, your cortisol goes up. which means irritability goes up and your sleep cycle gets messed up. So a lot of times what happens actually is that you may not be able to fall asleep until hours after you normally would fall asleep. And then you're wide awake. You could be wide awake. It depends. Everybody's different. It just, what happens to me is I can't fall asleep until way late. And then I get up super early to go get ready for work and meditate and do stuff in the morning because I have to, just to get myself ready. So cortisol is supposed to spike in the morning to help you get up in the morning and make sure you're wide awake when you wake up. And then during the day, it gradually goes down. And then in the evening when you're getting ready to go to bed, it's at its lowest point and you're able to sleep because your cortisol is low enough. But if it's messed up, then what happened with my cycle is I couldn't fall asleep. I couldn't go to sleep. Other people, they're able to go to sleep, but they wake up in the middle of the night and they can't go back to sleep because cortisol spiked at a different time than what it is supposed to. And then it drops really low during the day and you sit there and you're trying to stay awake and you're nodding off. Okay, so you're very tired. You cannot stay awake. I struggled with that, and that was horrible. So adrenal support helps with that. Meditation is huge. Doing things that reduce your stress. Cup of tea. Sit down with a book. Find a quiet space for a little while. Do things that are easier. The easier route to doing it. I have a garden. I have a big hose, very long hose, and I drag that hose out. I take my time because if I don't, I start F-bombing everything, all right? And so I take my time and, I sing a little song in my head or whatever, take deep breaths, turn on the music, and just, try and enjoy the time and not get frustrated. So I have a system set up so that because I have quick disconnects on the hose and it has to be done a certain way and to connect the two hoses together, it's long. But anyway, if I don't have it set up right, I'll end up grabbing the wrong disconnect. I'm walking way out there and F-bomb this, F-bomb that. I have to walk all the way back and get the other one. So it has to be set up right so I don't get frustrated. Okay, so doing things that keeps the stress level down is huge, very huge. All right, so what is the bottom line here? The bottom line is to take supplements that will help balance hormones. And supplements that you don't need to know, am I estrogen dominant or am I deficient? The supplements that I am taking right now, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to be taking a new one, a new supplement that I found and I want to try it. And it doesn't matter if I'm dominant or deficient. It flushes the system of the bad estrogen. And if you're low, it triggers the body to produce more estrogen. And because my ovaries are not producing estrogen, my adrenals are producing estrogen. And if the estrogen is too low, cortisol goes up, the adrenals really get hit hard. And then, of course, there's the thyroid in there. But I feel that if I really focus on balancing the hormones, the thyroid and the adrenal glands are going to take care of themselves because they are symptoms of low estrogen. And the insulin too. That'll all take care of itself. And also gut problems, low estrogen, that also. Something else, I get low dopamine. So I drink coffee to increase my dopamine because otherwise I will have no motivation and I won't want to do anything. And it's really, really hard to get myself to do stuff when my dopamine is low. So I do drink coffee, but I'm finding that I have to cut back because it's it's increasing the stress. And even though I sip it over a long period of time, and I do so because I get these intense cravings, which comes from the thyroid, and the caffeine squelches those cravings. But it also it's so complicated. It also makes me dehydrated, and I don't want to drink a lot because my DHEA is low, and I don't want to have an accident. so, yeah. Okay, so I'm really looking forward to this new supplement. It's called DIM, D-I-M. D is in dog, I and M is in monkey, and it comes from cruciferous vegetables. It is a phytoestrogen. I do take some other phytoestrogens, but it hasn't been doing anything for me. I will continue to take those phytoestrogens, and I'm going to add this one in order to consume the amount that my body needs to balance my hormones. I would have to eat bucket loads of cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. Those are cruciferous vegetables, and I just don't have time. Stuff's hard to chew anyway. So I'm going to take this supplement. I do eat lots of salads, and I do throw in kale. I have kale in the garden. I throw that in there along with dandelion leaves and lamb's quarter leaves, which are considered weeds. It's funny because I cleaned up the garden and I said, Skip, look at my garden. Doesn't it look great? Yeah, but you got some weeds in there. I said, those aren't weeds. What do you do with those? They're in your salad. Kind of freaked him out a little bit. But anyway, it's good for you. Good for you. So I eat lots of salads and vegetables and stuff like that. I'm going to do another video because this was getting long on remedies, things that I'm using and helping me to stay calm, and supplements that I'm taking. So, if you want a more in-depth look at the remedies, the natural remedies that I'm using, and so maybe that can help. Anyway, so I'm gonna go for now. I just wanted to touch base and share this stuff. It's tough, but it doesn't have to be. It's really about your own body and getting to know your body and really being attentive and conscious of what your body is saying to you. If your body is tired, stressed, you need to do something for your body. You are so important. You are very important. And if you're in menopause or postmenopause, this time is for you. You're done mothering, nurturing. You should be, anyway, I would imagine. I'm making assumptions. Usually the children are grown, and now it's me time. It's now time to take care of yourself, your body. So do something today that makes you feel good, that brings you joy. All right? And thank you for watching, and thank you for your comments. And if you like these videos, please subscribe. It shows YouTube that people are interested, and then they'll show my channel to other people, my videos to other people. So love you guys. Oh, wait. Love you all. Scratch the guys. Trying to be respectful, making some changes. I grew up with guys saying you guys. I'm going to change that. You all. I love you all, and I will talk to you again soon. Blessed be.